Under the silver glow of Hollywood's spotlight, one of its most enduring leading men now faces a role far more gut-wrenching than any he's ever played on screen, saying goodbye. James Brolin, Oscar winner, Emmy honoree, and one of Tinseltown's most respected patriarchs, has just shared devastating news. His wife of nearly 2 decades has been diagnosed with a terminal illness. Everything changed the moment cameras caught him leaving the hospital, eyes red and voice barely above a whisper. "They've given us weeks, maybe months," he confided to a friend. "I'm doing everything I can to make every moment count." It's a story that has left fans worldwide reeling. Social feeds are flooded with clips of his greatest performances, from the gravel-voiced sheriff in Capricorn 1 to the unflappable Tom Selleck foil on Arrested Development, overlaid with heartfelt prayers and messages of support. Hashtags like #BrolinStrong and #PrayForTheBrolins are trending globally, as viewers grapple with the painful irony. The man who once rescued astronauts from disaster now faces his own private nightmare. But to understand the gravity of this moment, we must first rewind to the beginning of a life lived in constant reinvention. Born January 18, 1940, in Los Angeles, James Brolin grew up chasing dreams amid the chaos of post-war Hollywood. His childhood home was just blocks away from Paramount Pictures, where his father worked as a set painter. Even as a teenager, James spent afternoons sneaking on back lots, clutching script pages he found in trash bins, maps to worlds he longed to inhabit. That restless ambition led him to minor parts on anthology series in the late 50s and early 60s, where he learned the craft of subtlety. A furrowed brow here, a flash of defiance there. By the early 1970s, Brolin's star was rising. He made hearts flutter as the charming pilot in Skyjacked and commanded respect as the lone cop on the trail of a killer in the Winds of War. But it was his turn as Senator Charles Jordan on Marcus Welby, MD, that truly sealed his reputation. Week after week, he brought a moral clarity and gentle intensity to living rooms nationwide, earning an Emmy and cementing his status as television royalty. Off-screen, however, James navigated his own personal turbulence. 3 marriages, the tragic loss of his firstborn son owing to a congenital illness, and the relentless pressure to remain relevant in an industry obsessed with youth. In 1998, at the age of 58, he found a second act both on and off camera. Meeting Barbra Streisand, iconic singer, Oscar-winning actress, and self-described force of nature, at a charity gala changed everything. Their whirlwind romance defied expectations. At an age when many slow their pace, they accelerated into marriage in 1998, exchanging vows beneath a canopy of pink peonies at Streisand's Malibu estate. The world watched in awe as 2 legends, each with storied pasts, merged not because of mutual convenience, but out of genuine creative respect and deep affection. Together, they formed a fortress against Hollywood's ruthlessness, touring together on charity missions and co-producing art house films that pushed boundaries. That fortress now has a crack in its foundation. Sources close to the couple reveal that Streisand, 81, has been quietly battling an aggressive form of pancreatic cancer since last November. Initially, the Brolins hoped to contain news within their inner circle, fearing the scrutiny that comes with their fame. But when Streisand missed a scheduled taping of her Netflix special and James didn't return calls for weeks, speculation ignited. Paparazzi caught him entering Cedars-Sinai with a face mask and baseball cap. Insiders spotted him cradling Barbara's hand outside her clinic. Then came the statement: "Barbara faces a battle we never expected. We ask for privacy, but also your love." In the hours that followed, stories poured in from friends and coworkers. Steven Spielberg sent flowers labeled, "For the bravest heart I know." Meryl Streep texted, "Barbara, you taught me how to sing with my soul. Now let us carry you." Messages from fans around the globe included everything from virtual prayer circles to offers of chemotherapy wigs in vibrant colors. Studios issued brief condolences. Entertainment Tonight cut into programming with a breaking, "James Brolin opens up on wife's health." But for James, there are no teleprompters or canned responses. Only the raw ache of a husband coming to terms with his greatest fear. So here we stand, at the precipice of an intimate tragedy played out under public view. What follows will be a journey through love's deepest valleys, The meticulous orchestration of hospice care, the nostalgic flashbacks to stolen moments backstage, the unguarded interviews where James lays bare his grief. In the coming chapters, we'll peel back the curtain on how two of Hollywood's most private icons navigate an illness that spares neither fame nor fortune. We'll trace James's efforts to preserve Barbara's legacy, to record final duets that linger beyond her voice, and to remind us all that even in the face of terminal diagnosis, hope can be the most radical act of all. Over the past few weeks, James Brolin has shouldered a weight no script could contain. Each morning, he arrives at Cedars-Sinai before sunrise, slipping past flashing cameras and roving drones, determined to protect Barbara's privacy. At bedside, he touches her hand with a reverent tenderness, careful to reaffirm her strength with gentle words. He arranges fresh peonies from Streisand's garden, their scent a silent offering that reminds them both of wedding vows spoken beneath Malibu's sunlit canopy. In private, James scribbles notes in a weathered leather journal. Memories he hopes to preserve, lines he wishes to share only when the time is right. Then he retreats downstairs to meet the family, Josh, Annie, and Molly, who gather in hushed circles to trade stories, laughter, and tears over coffee and cold cuts. In those moments with family, the Brolins cling to routines that feel both mundane and sacred. They convene in Barbara's sunroom, where framed playbills from Hello, Dolly, and A Star is Born surround a low coffee table strewn with photo albums. James flips pages, Barbara in a sequined costume mid-curtain call, an impromptu laugh captured backstage, while their grandchildren press sticky Polaroids onto the wood with hopeful fingers. Discussions range from trivial matters, tomorrow's menu, the perfect temperature for chamomile tea, to the unspoken question of what lies ahead. Despite fears rumble in their chests, the family shares an unshakable belief that even terminal illness can reveal unexpected moments of joy. Despite the heartbreak, James continues to fulfill professional obligations, attending red carpet premieres with a mask and dark sunglasses, declaring quietly that his wife's comfort comes first. Yet every step in public feels charged with meaning. A gentle nod to photographers at the Venice Film Festival, a brief thank you to reporters outside his hotel, a dedication of his latest short film to Barbara's courage. Industry insiders say that clip produced by Brolin Studios, originally slated for spring release, now carries an even deeper resonance. Its themes of resilience and love feel eerily prescient, and festival programmers have invited it to several charity screenings, pledging proceeds to cancer research. This unexpected role, James as both grieving husband and engaged artist, reminds us that creativity can blossom even when hope feels fragile. Within Hollywood, colleagues are rallying around James in private messages and surprise visits. Directors like Steven Spielberg and Guillermo del Toro have invited him to panel discussions to honor Barbara's work, offering to host benefit screenings in her name. Producers at ABC and Netflix are fast-tracking episodes of shows on which Brolin serves as executive producer, pledging that all profits from streaming views will go to pancreatic cancer research. Even rivalry with Tom Selleck over leading man status has been set aside, with Selleck publicly praising Brolin's bravery in media interviews. These gestures, though small in the scheme of things, deliver a profound reminder that in an industry built on appearance, compassion still reigns supreme. Back at home, James has quietly transformed their beachside estate into a sanctuary of solace. He mobilized staff to create a garden labyrinth lined with Barbara's favorite rosemary and lavender, believing that the scent can soothe anxiety as effectively as any prescription. Each afternoon, he walks her through winding paths, pausing to whisper lines of Shakespeare or lyrics from her own recordings. The local fire department even donated flame-resistant pergolas so they can sit outdoors in comfort. Neighbors report glimpsing the couple holding hands beneath a canopy of fairy lights, and word has spread that James is recording these twilight conversations in hopes of sharing them someday in a memoir. The public narrative around James Brolin has shifted in real time, with every media mention deeply calibrated by body language experts and grief counselors. Opinion columns debate whether his stoic composure signals unspoken strength or hidden sorrow, but few recognize the orchestration it took to maintain unwavering dignity amid relentless scrutiny. As fans scour interview archives for clues, James has quietly repurposed his press team to funnel all inquiries into a dedicated channel for invaluable, genuine support messages. His final public remark on the diagnosis offered more than a glimpse of mortality. It was a declaration of love. "We cherish every sunrise," he said, voice steady. The next chapter of their story will unfold not under studio lights, but in the intimate glow of remembrance. Behind closed doors, the rhythm of the Brolin household has shifted from cinematic glamour to the quiet cadence of bedside vigils. Each afternoon, James studies Barbara's medical charts alongside her oncologist, asking precise questions about comfort measures, experimental treatments, and palliative options. He insists on learning every new protocol, convinced that knowledge will translate into dignity, even in the face of a terminal prognosis. Then, as dusk settles, he wheels her through manicured gardens illuminated by lanterns, pausing under the arbor where they married 25 years ago. Those strolls have become sacred rituals, offering both solace and a solemn reminder. No award can move time backward, but love can stretch each moment into something timeless. Late nights find James in Barbara's private recording studio, a cove of vintage microphones, analog tape machines, and mahogany cabinets filled with her iconic podium. He's begun archiving her greatest performances in a series of intimate audio capsules, stripped-back renditions of People and The Way We Were, each infused with her hushed laughter and tremulous vibrato. Neighbors report hearing her voice drifting over the lawn, a melody underlined by grief and hope in equal measure. James captures these sessions with a handheld mic, later turning them into a digital time capsule he calls Barbara in Bloom. Each file is password protected, shared only with close friends and family until the day they can be released as part of her posthumous anthology. In tandem with these efforts, James launched a private charity initiative in Barbara's name, funneling proceeds from private screenings and select autograph auctions directly into pancreatic cancer research. Silicon Valley philanthropists and erstwhile fans have attended candlelit viewings of his latest short films, bidding on handwritten scripts and set photographs. The profits support early detection trials, a cause that both Brolin and Streisand view as a potential game-changer. Word has spread that James intends to establish an institute focusing on psychosocial support for artists grappling with critical illnesses, ensuring that no creative spirit feels forced into retirement when disease strikes. For him, these philanthropic ventures are as vital as bedside presence, a fusion of love, legacy, and hope. Amid these organized initiatives, small personal rituals ground James's days. At dawn, he selects a single song from Barbara's discography, playing it softly on the vintage turntable they restored together last century. As the vinyl crackles, he reads letters she wrote him during filming breaks, notes filled with gospel affirmations of love and encouragement. Each is preserved in a linen box, tied by a ribbon pressed between the pages of her favorite book. In the evenings, they share reminiscences of on-set pranks and backstage confessions, their laughter echoing in corridors that once hosted cast parties and late-night brainstorms. For a moment, illness recedes, replaced by the warmth of memories forged in laughter, applause, and creative camaraderie. Outside the estate, James remains mindful of Barbara's wish to avoid public spectacle. He has declined offers to record guest appearances or to film upcoming scenes, prioritizing her comfort over potential accolades. Yet he's not entirely retreating from the spotlight. In a rare television interview, he spoke candidly about vulnerability, equating his role as a caretaker to leading a production. "I'm the director of our final act," he said. "My job is to set the tone, stay present, and ensure the story we're writing ends with love, regardless of length." That poignant statement resonated far beyond fan communities. Grief counselors and support groups shared clips of his words as a source of collective solace, applauding his courage to speak openly on national television about love's impermanence. James decided to document this chapter as a feature-length film. Shot in verite style, it carefully intercuts hospital corridors with flashbacks to red carpet triumphs and beachside trivia nights. There is no filter or dramatic score. Instead, the camera hauntingly lingers on unguarded moments, a tremor in Barbara's hand, a quiver in James's voice as he solemnly reads her a poem about stars. In early cuts, Test audiences found the experience both wrenching and cathartic, their tears merging with laughter as the film reveals the couple's enduring humor even as time runs out. Insiders say this project will redefine personal documentary, inviting viewers to reflect on mortality through the eyes of two icons who mastered reinvention and intimacy. In the hush of early morning, James leaves the estate in near silence, slipping past the dew-laden rose bushes that he planted with Barbara 50 years ago. With each breath, he recalls the promise they made as young lovers, always and forever, and uses that vow to steady his steps. Inside the sunlit hospice room, Barbara lies propped against layers of soft pillows, her silver hair scattered like stardust across the white linen. A faint smile flickers when James enters, and he kneels by her side, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. No words are needed. Their eyes meet, and they share a memory of moonlit charity galas, secret Paris escapades, and the first time they held hands beneath the Santa Monica Pier. For a moment, diagnosis fades, replaced by the warmth of shared lifetimes. Unseen by cameras, James administers tender ministrations, cooling her clammy forehead with a damp cloth scented with lavender, adjusting the blankets to catch the sunlight just right, and whispering fragments of lyrics she once sang. "You make me feel brand new," he murmurs, voice trembling. Then he reads from a worn leather journal, recounting the story of the day he first sketched her portrait on a postcard, a hasty doodle that would later hang in the Louvre of their shared memories. Occasionally, Barbara's hand tightens around his, a gentle affirmation that each tale still kindles joy despite pain. As midday arrives, the energy shifts. James transforms from devoted caretaker into consummate host, welcoming a discreet stream of visitors. They step into the room like pilgrims, bearing bouquets of soft white lilies, letters inscribed in delicate handwriting, and whispered prayers carried on vellum. Helen Mirren arrives with a sun hat and gentle embrace. Tom Hanks offers a silent nod before resting his hand on James's shoulder. Even rock musicians who grew up listening to Barbara's records appear, clutching guitars in hand, ready to serenade her with renditions of her own classics in hushed tones. Each tribute enlivens the room, creating a mosaic of gratitude and love, momentarily pushing back the shadow of farewell. By afternoon, the Brolin family gathers again around an antique trestle table strewn with sandwiches, fruit tarts, and herbal tea. The conversation drifts from memories of Barbara's charitable work to debates over which film festival should premiere a retrospective of her most daring roles. James listens, laughs softly, and occasionally slips away to assist the nursing staff, refilling ice packs or checking prescription charts. His dual roles as family patriarch and hands-on caregiver blur into a single continuum, love and action that transcends categories. Late afternoon heralds another ritual, the creation of a final audio letter. In the softly lit recording alcove off the main room, Barbara, draped in a cashmere shawl, reclines in a high-back chair opposite a vintage Shure microphone. James presses a record button and guides her through a script he penned overnight, weaving personal reflections, expressions of gratitude for their life together, and hopes for the family's future. Her voice is husky with emotion, words punctuated by pauses that speak louder than phrases ever could. When the session ends, James cups the reel-to-reel tape, kisses its metallic surface, and seals it in a handcrafted wooden box etched with their initials. "For eternity," he says softly, as Barbara gazes at him with a mixture of pride and unspoken longing. Evening descends, and the hospice lights dim to a golden glow. The final visitors depart, leaving James alone with the soft hum of medical equipment and the rhythmic rise and fall of Barbara's breath. He retrieves his black fedora hat, worn during his early television days, and places it gently at the foot of her bed. On a nearby nightstand, he sets a framed photograph of their wedding day, captured beneath pink peonies and California sunshine. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he reads aloud passages from her favorite poetry collection, his voice cracking only once. Afterward, he clasps her hand, lacing their fingers together, and whispers the line that became the refrain of their lives. "In every ending, we find a beginning." He steps into the twilight, heart heavy yet hopeful, steadfastly carrying memories like lanterns against the dark, resolved to honor their love each dawn and to find strength beyond measure in the days that follow. The Brolin estate transforms into a crossroads of memory and hope. Word of Barbara's condition and James's unwavering devotion travels through Hollywood's undercurrents, inspiring unprecedented acts of solidarity. Screenwriters offer free script consultations for terminally ill artists. Costume designers volunteer to refurbish vintage wardrobes for charity auctions. Cameramen pledge their time to film oral histories of performers whose voices may fade too soon. James quietly coordinates these gestures, turning personal pain into a catalyst for community care. He hosts small gatherings in the sunroom, industry veterans, understudies, stagehands, where each person shares a recollection of Barbara's kindness. Laughter inevitably surfaces, a testament to her warmth, even as tears crystallize around the edges. Simultaneously, James oversees the rollout of Barbara's Beacon, a grassroots initiative providing comfort kits to families navigating terminal diagnoses. Each kit includes a plush blanket, a journal for shared memories, a playlist of Barbara's greatest hits, and a handwritten note from James himself. Volunteers deliver them to hospices coast to coast, matching the rose-scented peonies from their wedding ceremony with soothing lavender sachets. Social media lights up with unboxing videos and testimonials. Caregivers describe how the kits turned hospital rooms into sanctuaries, infusing moments of tranquility into the chaos of decline. Observers note that this venture dovetails beautifully with James's ethos, practical compassion wrapped in artistry. Beyond these philanthropic strides, James honors Barbara's creative legacy with a commemorative art exhibit in West Hollywood. He curates a collection of her stage costumes, lyric sheets scrawled in her own handwriting, and behind-the-scenes Polaroids capturing candid smiles and midnight rehearsals. He invites emerging photographers to display portraits of Streisand at every age, the wide-eyed ingenue, the fearless superstar, the wise matriarch. Together, these artifacts narrate a life more extraordinary than any screenplay. On opening night, James greets guests in a tailored black suit, his voice steady as he recounts stories of each item's origin. He frames the exhibit not as a farewell, but as a living tribute, an immersive capsule that ensures Barbara's presence endures long after her voice falls silent. Meanwhile, the inevitable conversations about legacy and estate planning weave their way through hushed corridors of lawyers' offices. James, ever meticulous, revisits wills and trusts, seeking Barbara's input whenever possible. He ensures that royalties from her catalog will fund scholarships for underprivileged music students and that a portion of her real estate holdings supports mental health services for performers under stress. These decisions, though clinical on paper, are rooted in love, a desire to extend Barbara's nurturing spirit into future generations. Reporters treat the legal maneuvers as dry facts, but insiders understand the emotional calculus underpinning every clause. A husband translating grief into generative acts that mirror his wife's lifelong generosity. Amid the whirlwind of public gestures and private logistics, James carves out sacred pockets of normalcy. Each morning at dawn, he walks along the shoreline with their golden retriever, Huck, who pads alongside, sniffing footprints in the sand. James tosses a weathered tennis ball, and when Huck returns it, he places the toy gently in Barbara's lap later that afternoon. For when she's missing the sea breeze, he tells the nurses. Children from neighbor families drop by with homemade drawings, which James tapes to the hospice room's walls like gallery pieces. In these simple routines, fetching coffee from the local cafe, reading bedtime stories to grandchildren, tending to scattered flower petals, James and Barbara find refuge. These shared rituals become the quiet heartbeat amid the encroaching end. As the sun sets on another day, the press surges with speculation about how much time remains. Opinion columnists debate whether one of Hollywood's great partnerships will conclude in weeks or linger into the new year. TV anchors replay James's most poignant interview snippets, overlaying them with orchestral swells that feel almost cinematic in their intensity. Fans across continents light candles at dusk, posting images with hashtag #AlwaysAnEncore, symbolizing the recurring promise of reunion in some other realm. In the midst of public mourning and reverence, James holds one truth close. The only timeline that matters is the one they write together, minute by minute. In the quiet hours before dawn, James returns to the bedside one last time, cradling Barbara's hand as the room glows softly from a single lamp. He smooths the blanket across her chest and studies the gentle rise and fall of her breathing. In these final moments, he recalls every promise they ever made: to laugh before tears, to dance before dusk, to cherish before fear. His voice barely above a whisper, he thanks her for every sunrise and every song, feeds her sips of sweetened herbal water, and leans in to brush a kiss upon her forehead, an unspoken farewell that carries the weight of decades spent side by side. Outside, the world stirs. Message alerts flood in with love from every corner. Film critics, lifelong fans, unexpected friends, and strangers who saw their own stories reflected in Barbara's resolve. Tributes begin to flood social media. Clips of her belting power chords on stage, close-ups of her tears glinting under spotlights, gala speeches that crystallized hope amid adversity. News anchors interrupt broadcasts to share the family statement. Barbara passed peacefully at daybreak, leaving behind a legacy measured not by awards, but by acts of boundless generosity. Her final breath becomes a shared moment of global empathy, a reminder that even the highest profiles cannot stand apart from heartbreak. James remains in his wife's embrace, tears falling onto the sheet as he listens for the faintest final exhale. When motion stills, he closes her eyes with a gentle touch, brushing a strand of silver hair across her temple. He pauses to memorize her peaceful expression before rising to signal the nurse. Outside the door, deputies and assistants stand by in hushed respect. James steps into the corridor, shoulders square, and exhales a single, steady breath. The hospice staff move Barbara's body with reverence, treating every fold of fabric as though it were a cherished costume on a stage she once owned. In the days that follow, James convenes family and friends for a private memorial at the Malibu estate's labyrinth garden. White lilies sway in the breeze around the rose-lined path, where the couple took thousands of hand-in-hand walks. Inside the sunroom, a grand piano sits open, its keys untouched until James approaches and plays Barbara's favorite melancholic chord progression. Children scatter rose petals at his feet as he transitions from music to story, recounting the first time he heard her warm, trembling voice, a moment that altered his life forever. Each anecdote lifts hearts and releases tears, binding every attendee into a tapestry of remembrance. He then unveils the wooden box containing the sealed audio letter, placing it on an oak pedestal beneath a portrait of Barbara in her prime. With solemn ceremony, he plays the recording, allowing her final words of love, of encouragement, of enduring strength to wash over the gathered circle. Silence fills the room as her voice fades, and James steps forward to cradle the speaker, promising that her song will never stop playing in hearts around the globe. He announces that the Barbara in Bloom collection will premiere at a charity gala, with proceeds directed to the Institute for Psychosocial Support of Artists in Illness, ensuring her compassion continues to heal others. In private moments that follow, James sits alone on the beach at twilight, the salt breeze carrying memories of laughter and shared adventure. He speaks aloud to the ocean, recounting lines of poetry Barbara adored, allowing the rhythm of waves to answer him. By moonlight, he unseals a fresh journal and begins to write his own reflections, notes on love's alchemy, grief's paradox, the courage found in vulnerability. These pages will become the final chapter of their joint memoir, a testament to a partnership that transcended spotlight and silence alike. As the world says goodbye to an icon, James embraces a new role, custodian of a boundless legacy. He negotiates the release of her unreleased recordings, curates retrospectives, and shepherds the institute bearing her name. But in every catalog consultation and gala speech, it is the quiet moments, touching a framed lyric sheet, hearing her laughter in a distant echo, that fuel his purpose. In honoring her art, he honors their love, and in preserving her kindness, he becomes the living embodiment of her greatest role. And so, the curtain falls on one extraordinary life even as it rises on the countless lives she touched. James leaves the labyrinth garden at dawn one final time, carrying with him a single white lily and a heart forever shaped by the joy and grace of Barbara Streisand. In the years ahead, whenever fans hum her songs or revisit her films, They will carry fragments of those rose-scented vows, the echoes of her courageous smile, and the gentle understanding that love's ending can also be its most profound beginning.